Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our live Thought Leader webinar series. For those who are new to our webinar series, my name is Julianne Manning, and I'm the Customer Care Specialist at Stewardship. Our goal with our Thought Leader webinar series is to provide tools, resources, and hot topics that impact nonprofits and faith communities. We're thrilled you decided to join us today for October Thought Leader webinar as we explore cause marketing and specifically how to make an impact with their Giving Tuesday campaign. For everyone that is joining us live today, you may use the chat feature below to ask questions throughout today's webinar. We will have a time to answer any questions at the end of today's Thought Leader presentation. And for those who are joining us after in the recorded webinar, please feel free to comment below and our team will respond to you directly with any questions you may have. Today, our guest speaker is our very own Trey Swallow, Director in Sales Management here at Stewardship. So we're excited to hear Trey present with us today. This month's webinar topic is cause marketing, specifically addressing Giving Tuesday, which is right around the corner. Because of this, our team has put together a Giving Tuesday planning guide that will provide further ideas on how to have a successful Giving Tuesday campaign. You can easily find this guide on our website by clicking on Support and then Blog. To expand on Giving Tuesday and its impact, Trey is going to provide us with a little history in how you can utilize Giving Tuesday this year. Trey started as an elementary teacher, transitioned to a missionary to Bulgaria, then transitioned into sales. Trey has been in sales for 12 years and with stewardship for 6 of those years. He is married to Carla, a professor of psychology, and father to Briggs and Corinna, pictured left. Trey says, I love working at Stewardship because I love to see the positive impact 501c3s are making in this country. This is rewarding work, and I truly believe in our mission at Stewardship. That is our mission to help fund your mission. So without any further ado, welcome, Trey.
Thank you, Julianne. Good to be here with everybody today. As Julianne mentioned, we're going to be talking a little bit about Giving Tuesday. And I love Giving Tuesday because Giving Tuesday to me is a free-for-all, almost. I'm a very creative person, and that is exactly what Giving Tuesday is. It's a creative way to get people in the charitable thinking mindset moving into the holidays and end of the year giving time. And we're going to go through a couple different tips and tricks for ideas on how to make a Giving Tuesday campaign, how to make it successful. And I'm going to just share with you guys some success stories that have been out in the marketplace for people that have done it correctly and, more importantly, creatively in a number of different ways. So let's give some background for those of you that are joining us. Thought Leader webinar, purpose of this is to provide impactful information to our clients or future clients. What we try to do is we try to learn from our base of clients as to what is successful in the marketplace and try to share those trends and success stories through these Thought Leader webinars. So let's get into it today. Giving Tuesday. For those of you that don't know what Giving Tuesday is, it's a day that kind of follows Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And even Small Business Saturday, some people like to throw in there. So after you've done all your shopping and spent your money on material things, Giving Tuesday kind of comes in at the end of that to remind people what it's all about. And it's not all about the material stuff, but it's also about people like the organizations on this call making a difference in their community and in their world. And what you can see right there below is some statistics from last year. So $400 million raised in 2018, $105 the average gift size, and then over 3.6 million people made gifts last year. So next screen. So 5 tips, as I mentioned, for success. Let's get into it. Tip number 1. So how do we do this? So Giving Tuesday started as an online situation. Peer-to-peer giving, Twitter feeds, Facebook posts, Instagram stuff, So that's kind of where we're going to start off, is how to get the word out and how to get it out to as many people as you can. And if you were with us a couple months back for when we talked about what peer-to-peer was, and if you weren't, you can, of course, go to our blog and see that thought leader webinar. But we talked about the effect of peer-to-peer fundraising, how you can reach more donors, and how the donors that you reach are coming from the advocates of your 501c3s. So then it's the instant transfer of trust. And that's part of the way it is with Giving Tuesday as well. So how do we do that? So one thing, there's a website, givingtuesday.org. And Giving Tuesday has all of its, you can see the logo up in the right-hand corner. They've got all kinds of graphics. They've got all kinds of success stories that you guys can pull off there and put into your own campaigns, whether they be Facebook-related campaigns or peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns or email campaigns or Twitter campaigns. They have graphics for everything. And in our download guide, we have some stuff for that as well. So set up a peer-to-peer campaign online. Anything that you're doing surrounding Giving Tuesday, you should have what we would call in the marketing department, and I know our head of marketing, BJ, would be proud of me for saying this. We got to have a call to action, right? So the purposes of this is to, one, either get people to know your organization, get people to volunteer for your organization, or of course, get people to donate to your organization. So whatever method that we're doing to get the message out, there's always got to be some sort of donation link tied to that. Peer-to-peer is a great way. So in this case, we're going to try to skip print material, focus on high-quality email campaigns to reach as many people as possible for your mission. I got a little stat down here in the corner, and I think what's important about it is the 63% year-over-year growth. This is a phenomenon in some ways. You know, from where it started just a couple of years back to where we are now at 400 million in donations a year. If you haven't heard of it, don't worry. You can see how fast it's growing. And I guarantee you, your donors will have heard of it in one way or another. Next slide. All right, success story time. So after most of these tips, I've kind of got a fun success story that gives you an idea of how some sort of nonprofit is working in this space and doing good things on Giving Tuesday. So for this instance, Camp Kasem. And Camp Kasem last year raised over $2 million, 1.8 of the 2 million from their peer-to-peer platform. And what they ended up doing was they ended up recruiting ambassadors and volunteers and asking them if they would be willing to set up their own Giving Tuesday campaigns for their parent organization. And they then used those tools that they were given, the templates, the graphics. You know, the nonprofit put together one package, graphics, instructions on how to set up a campaign, and then they sent that one package out to all of their ambassadors and asked their ambassadors to raise funds for them through their peer-to-peer platform. And that's just what they did. You can see that they also released some videos to go along with it. They challenged their volunteers. I love this last kind of sentence that on there. You know, if I raise 5,000, then I'll eat this hot pepper. You know, and they videoed it and got it out there, and it's all centered around raising money peer-to-peer through a peer-to-peer platform like Stewardship's Together We Raise platform to raise money on Giving Tuesday. Next tip, create engagement. All right, so we're going to put this campaign together. We're going to get it out there on social media. How do we get people to care about it? Create engagement. So you can see we've got some hashtags out there. The unselfie one is a huge one that's out there, and Giving Tuesday has some resources on its website for that as well. But, you know, I love that mentality. It really resonates with what stewardship is, and I'm sure what you guys is that it's that service mentality, thinking of others. You know, getting people to take pictures with your logo and the hashtag unselfie, or getting people to, you know, say, I donated this today, hashtag let me bring in somebody else, and they donated this, and keeping keeping that cycle going there with that hashtag on there. Create contests and match donations. I think that's a big one. Let's go on to the next success story. All right, so Laura's Home, a city mission in Cleveland, they wanted to help homeless teenagers there in the area. And what they tried to do was they tried to raise money on peer-to-peer on Giving Tuesday, and they did it. They raised $18,000 for their new teen hangout where people can come and sleep and kind of get off the streets for a little bit. And one of the big things that they did was they looked around their community and said, hey, can you help us? You know, your community leaders, a number of people, you can see the tip and trick at the bottom there. Your board, asking your board to match certain amount of donations that come in. So being able to use the network that you already have or the community that you already have, you know, especially if you're a 501c3 that is serving the community in some way, being able to involve the leaders of the community in what you're doing on Giving Tuesday, a huge thing. Ask your board, ask the community, ask for a match for everything you raise on that day, and you could double that money. Tip 3. I said it a couple months ago on the peer-to-peer mission ambassadors, right? You guys are obviously passionate about your 501c3s. I'm passionate about stewardship. There are others that are equally passionate about our causes and our missions. Think about all the volunteers that you guys have. Those are mission ambassadors. Your long-time recurring givers. Those are your mission ambassadors, right? Let's use this army of ambassadors that we have to share on Giving Tuesday. How can we equip those ambassadors to help us raise funds? Let's look at a success story around this. All right. I like this one because there's kind of a surprise at the end here. United Way of Greater Toledo. Instead of Giving Tuesday, they kind of wanted to call it Thanking Tuesday, and they dispatched their staff to go and visit any of the organizations, the larger organizations and donors that had given to the Greater Way of Toledo. And they presented each of those businesses and their high donors with some form of a thank you. And the cool thing about this particular one is not only did it include a thank you for giving, but it also included a way for them to give on this Giving Tuesday. And they ended up raising about $60,000 from their Thank You Tuesday because people were encouraged by their message of thanks, and they were encouraged to give more to go ahead and support a mission that would be thoughtful like this. So using your ambassadors to go out and say thank you, or to say thank you to your ambassadors, and they had that call to action that I mentioned earlier, and they were able to bring in funds through just a simple thing of saying thank you. Next tip. Make some noise. All right, so it's one thing to get it out there, and we got to start promoting it. We talked about the hashtag. We talked about the guy that ate the hot pepper. Anything to get your ambassadors to promote your organization on behalf of you. So creating videos, sharing your story or stories of people that you have helped through your mission, getting the word out for the peer-to-peer campaign. It's not just a single platform. And that's one thing that we really like to talk about at Stewardship, is that it's kind of our goal at Stewardship to give you as many opportunities to raise funds as possible. You know, we do text to give, event registration, donation forms, our peer-to-peer platform, because we know that when we're talking about the range and age of givers, they all have different generational giving habits, right? So it's no longer just a one method sort of a thing. So this tip I like because it's how much noise can we put out there? Can we put it out through Twitter? Can we put it out through Instagram? Can we put it out through Facebook? Can we put it out through email? Can we create videos for it? Can we share all of those things? Can we get our ambassadors to share their story with us? Can we create promotions or contests that will cause people to engage in our content and be prone to give more? And you can see that tip and trick down there in the corner. 57% of donors donating after watching a video of some sort. That story that you tell will resonate with them. Go ahead to the next success. So I mentioned contest in various ways, and this is kind of a fun success story that they just decided to, the Maryland SPCA decided to do something in their community and have a campaign contest. Vote cat or vote dog. And what they ended up doing was that they put it out there and campaigned through social media posts and emails, targeting everybody that they could target. And people would enlist in the contest and vote one way or the other. And they got to vote, and each time they voted, they would have a CTA that would be put on the screen that would say, you can also give to the organization. And they would also say, check back to see who's winning the contest. So every time somebody checked back to see, who was winning, the cat or the dog, who was the largest candidate there in the area, and who were dog fans and who were cat fans, every single time they checked back, they were getting that call to action to go ahead and donate to the organization. And you could see how much they raised just from putting in a game or a contest as part of their creative fundraising efforts on Giving Tuesday. Next tip. All right, here's the other thing. All right, tip number 5, last tip for today. Open your doors, right? That story that your ambassadors tell, that story that you tell, that's real and tangible, and it happens at your doors, within your doors, at your organizations, right? How can we get people to interact with you? And I mentioned earlier that the fun part about Giving Tuesday is it's just creating awareness, right? And a lot of people will use Giving Tuesday to say thank you, like we saw earlier, to raise funds in various different ways. We're going to see a success story here in a second about people that used Giving Tuesday to get volunteers. So creating opportunities on Giving Tuesday where your mission can be in effect and on display in your community is also a huge part of Giving Tuesday, showing people by your action what you're all about. Go ahead, Julian. So here's a success story that kind of centers around that. Pairing an online fundraiser with a volunteer recruitment in some way. So Coastside Hope, an assistance center out in San Francisco, had an open house on Giving Tuesday, and their goal was to get acquainted with their community and recruit new volunteers and supporters. And through that open house and everybody that they invited to that, they had 40 people came through. And following up with those different people who volunteered and came through, they were able to get 52 donors out of that 40 visitors that came. And I think that's I don't want you to miss that and think that just Trey having trouble with math there. That's 52 donors out of 40 visitors, right? That is the power of people that come into contact with your mission and tell others about your mission. So even though only 40 people came, they got 52 donations and new donors out of that visit because they were so impressed by what was happening in that 501c3 that they decided to tell others. Go ahead, Julian. So at Stewardship, it is always our mission to help you fund your mission. And whether you're doing that through Facebook or your website or email campaigns or Twitter campaigns or videos or whatnot, Stewardship is going to do our best to provide you some sort of element to raise funds as part of that, some sort of element to use as your CTA. So whether it's our embedded forms, our online forms, we've got our own peer-to-peer platform, Together We Raise, that's out there that you can use to set up campaigns. You can also use it for people to fundraise on behalf of your organization, like the ambassadors that we mentioned, the one group that used 5,000 volunteers to set up their own campaigns. If you like that idea, we've got that going for you right now with Together We Raise. Our event registration, in case you're going to run sort of volunteer sign up or open house or get people to register for it. And then, of course, text to give. You can throw a phone number on anything that you send out to get people to bring those funds back into that organization. So after this, or even you may have received an email before that Stewardship is running a campaign right now through the end of this month and through the end of next month because Giving Tuesday is the 3rd of December. So for the next month and a half, we're going to be running a program here at Stewardship that we will, for free, set up any peer-to-peer campaign that you want to for Giving Tuesday. And we have some wonderful examples. And we have a guide, as Julianne mentioned at the beginning, a guide that you could download from us, from our website, from our blog, from some of the emails that you probably got surrounding this webinar. And that download will give you similar ideas to what we talked about today, and will also give you some insight into the Together We Raise platform for peer-to-peer campaigns surrounding Giving Tuesday. So that's all we got for you today. We try to make it short and sweet and give you as much information, pertinent information as we can. But I would encourage you to get creative. I would encourage you to think out of the box for Giving Tuesday and stretch yourselves. If you're not social media savvy, my guess is you've got some kid, either your kid or some other kid in the neighborhood that knows all that they can about social media. Touch base with that. See how you can use that technology because I guarantee if you get into the mindset of generational giving habits and how do I reach all of the people of any age that I want to interact with, you're going to find that there's a huge place for social media and for Giving Tuesday. How do I get the word out and spread the news of our message and our mission to those that may not know about us and all the wonderful things we're doing in the community? So I would love to hear. That's another thing we're going to be doing coming up is what we call living the mission here at Stewardship. We're going to have a campaign that goes out in the next month or half where we're just going to ask you guys, our customers and potentially future customers, how are you guys living the mission? And I'd love to hear some great Giving Tuesday success stories because that's part of who we are as a company too. How can we learn from our clients to share information with our clients so we can all get better at funding our missions? And that's kind of what we're centered around. So I hope that you guys found some of the information helpful today. Please go out and download that guide for Giving Tuesday and please report back to us. What sort of crazy stuff are you doing out there that are causing you to interact with your donors and your donors to interact with you and raising funds so that your mission can be a success? Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you, Trey, and thank you for those tips on how we can go digital, create engagement, seek mission advocates, make some noise, and how to open our doors. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have further questions over today's presentation, feel free to reach out to Trey or myself. You can see our contact information here on the screen. Also, a copy of today's webinar will be emailed to you, so you will have it as a resource. You can also explore other resources and tools on our Facebook or LinkedIn social channels and on our website at stewardshiptechnology.com. There you can also find future webinars, products, and services, as well as trends and hot topics for nonprofits and faith communities. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.